March 27th, 2022, February 24th, 2025, and March 7th, 2025. All three specific dates. All three were dates that murders occurred at the California State Prison Sacramento, often referred to as New Folsom. And the last thing that all three dates and murders behind bars at California State Prison Sacramento had in common was that inmate Tyler L. Yates was responsible for all three homicides. Yates, who had originally come in from San Diego County in October of 2017 to serve an 8-year sentence for first-degree burglary, is now what many consider a serial killer, housed at CDCR.
Out of Lemon Grove, the man captured on security cameras using a hatchet to break into that home and smash right through says he is sorry. Tyler Yates faced a judge today. 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco at that house with the family's response to this bizarre crime.
The intruder took a hatchet to this front window to get inside the house. The whole thing caught on this surveillance camera, but now the guy in jail says it's not what you think.
Enter a not guilty plea, denying any allegation.
Tyler Yates' attorney entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Yates said nothing. The judge ordered us to conceal his face during his video arraignment. Friday night from jail, though, Yates said plenty.
And these voices were so real, and I've never experienced it. That's never happened.
So real, Yates says he was convinced his family, including his 2-year-old son, were trapped inside this house.
So I'm sitting there, bam, and I'm hitting at the wall, bam, bam, just trying to break the wall down because I could hear, they're like, help, get us out, get us out, get us out.
The family that lives here is out of town, but their surveillance cameras captured Yates using a hatchet to smash through the front window.
Look at this. He has a hatchet in his hand. And then look how violently he hits the window.
Charlotte McClure's brother lives here with his wife and their 6 children. Deputies surrounded the home with guns drawn. They found Yates hiding in the basement.
In my house, trying to save my family, and it makes no sense to them, but I do apologize.
Yates says he struggles with drugs. He told us he did meth before showing up to the house with a hatchet. The family says they accept his apology, but they say he needs to be punished. The family that lives here is scheduled to return home on Thursday, but they say they no longer feel comfortable living here. They plan to stay with relatives until they find a new place. In Lemon Grove, Rachel Bianco.
A homicide investigation is underway into an inmate from Butte County who was killed in state prison in Sacramento. About 1:20 yesterday afternoon, the Department of Corrections says officers saw 30-year-old Tyler Yates and 32-year-old Jake Kennedy attacking another inmate, 39-year-old Jonathan Rude, on the exercise yard, and immediately they stepped in. Rude was taken to triage his injuries, but he died about 20 minutes later. 2 improvised weapons were found where he was attacked. Rude had been transferred there from Butte County in September, serving a 4-year sentence for car theft with previous vehicle theft convictions. Yates is from San Diego County, serving 8 years for burglary and assault since 2017, but this month he was sentenced to life for an in-prison murder. And Kennedy came from San Bernardino County in 2020, serving 6 years for having a concealed dirk or dagger, but was sentenced to another 4 years in prison in 2023 for an in-prison assault.
California Department of Corrections is now investigating the death of an inmate at California State Prison Sacramento as a homicide. The death was first reported just after 6 this morning at that prison in Folsom. An inmate identified as Jake Kennedy was found in his cell, and he had several stab wounds. Kennedy died about a half hour later. His cellmate was Tyler Yates, and he was already serving a life sentence for a murder of another prisoner. A weapon was found in the cell. Yates is in restricted housing right now, pending the investigation in this case.
Okay, so topic of discussion today is Tyler L. Yates. He's from San Diego County. He came in on just a simple 8-year sentence in 2017. The guy would be out by now if he had just served out his full term. But it's California. These guys are going into basically a war zone. They're going to be active in a gang, whatever their race is. Things are going to go down. And they absolutely went down for Tyler Yates. Now, like we talked about a little bit in the intro and the video I played on the news story covering Tyler Yates, you see how different he looks in that news story from 2016 when he's caught breaking into the family's home over Thanksgiving holiday. Because again, he only came in on an original 8-year sentence, and now it's 3 murders. So we're going to read from the article that was posted on November 22nd, 2016. This is the initial crime that got Tyler Yates sent to prison. Lemon Grove family is thankful it's the holiday season because they were out of town when their home was burglarized. The thief caught on the family's home surveillance system as he's smashing into a window with a hatchet. Police said the man has been identified as 20-year-old Tyler Yates. The break-in happened on Golden Avenue in broad daylight on November 19th. After Yates broke the window, he pushed it in with his hands and climbed through the shards to get into the house. 10 News spoke exclusively to the family's grandmother who lives down the street. She's the one who caught the thief and called 911. She was sitting in the driveway as police rushed in to take down the burglar. Yeah, I saw them take him out of the house and he was all full of blood. Shelley McClure said, I just put my head down and I prayed. McClure said her 6 grandkids, her son and her daughter-in-law, were out of town during the break-in. They would have been in the house, she said. If my grandkids were in there, he could have killed them. Anything could have happened. Now knowing what he turned into, I don't think this grandmother is really exaggerating. McClure said now this is the second break-in at the house, and even though the family is strong, the kids are now afraid to stay there. I'm angry, but I'm asking God to take that away from me. But I'm hurt. You've invaded someone's space. You've invaded their home. That's unfair, she said. Yates was due in court that upcoming Wednesday. It's just a fascinating case study. It shows you what is going on behind CDCR. Now, I will say this. You can't just blame it all on the CDCR, on this California prison model. He is an outlier, even in a case in a state, in a prison system with a lot of, quote, outliers, right? Because people are picking up bodies left and right, but this guy's got 3. And they're within a pretty close period of time, 2022 to 2025. That's only 3 years. That breaks down to, an average of 1 a year. And he's only been in prison for 8 years. It's not like the guy's been in there for 30 years and he's got 2 murders. No, he's been in since October of 17. We're not even in October of 25, and he has 3 murders. It's pretty crazy. And from his first one, the violence has only ratcheted up. And now in 2025, like I said, he's got three people under his belt, 3 bodies under his belt. And unless they really finally put this guy into a segregation, into an area where he cannot hurt anybody, I have no doubt that he would commit a 4th murder, especially with the attention he's receiving. All of my channel, which is I'm just a small little channel. I'm not even a blip on the radar. But you got a lot of bigger channels, newspapers, news websites. He's all over, and he knows he's all over. I'm sure he's getting mail. I'm sure he's got people that write to him, his fans. I guarantee you this guy has got a lot of attention since these murders have occurred. But they keep putting him back into areas where he can hurt people. What also is crazy to me is that he's committed all of these murders within the same prison, and that's California State Prison Sacramento. We're going to be reading from all 3 of these articles involving him. We're also going to be reading about his initial crime that got him sent to prison back in 2016. So we're going to start with the first one here, and this is from March 27th, 2022. Officials at California State Prison Sacramento are investigating the March 26, 2022 death of Nathan Marcus, 33 years old, as a homicide after he was attacked by 2 incarcerated persons. On Saturday at approximately 2:12 p.m., Marcus was attacked by Tyler Yates and Gregory Roach while on one of the institution's recreation yards. Staff used chemical agents to quell the incident and performed life-saving measures on Marcus, which were unsuccessful, and he was pronounced deceased at 2:38 p.m. Marcus was sentenced to state prison on February 26, 2013 from San Joaquin County to serve a 4-year sentence for attempting to evade a peace officer while driving recklessly as a second striker and possession of a controlled substance for sale as a second striker. While incarcerated, Marcus was sentenced on August 18, 2016 in Kings County to serve a 6-year sentence for possession and manufacture of a deadly weapon by a prisoner as a second striker. Yates and Roach, The attackers, Yates, 27 at the time, was sentenced to state prison on August 21st, 2017 from San Diego County to serve an 8-year sentence for first-degree burglary and assault with force likely to produce great bodily injury as a second striker. Roach, 33, was sentenced to state prison on October 15th, 2019 from San Diego County to serve a 12-year sentence for assault with force likely to inflict great bodily injury as a second striker. And then it talks about how they were each put into basically ad seg pending the investigation. So, okay, that's murder number 1. Fast forward about 3 years. Almost exactly 3 years. February 24th, 2025, also in California State Prison Sacramento. Officials are investigating the February 23rd, 2025 death of an incarcerated person at California State Prison Sacramento as a homicide. At 1:21 p.m., officers observed incarcerated persons Tyler L. Yates and Jake T. Kennedy attacking incarcerated person Jonathan D. Rude on the main exercise yard. Staff immediately responded, quelling the attack by firing a warning shot. Officers immediately initiated life-saving measures and activated 911. Rude was taken to the prison's triage and treatment area where emergency medical personnel continued administering life-saving measures. A paramedic pronounced Rude deceased at 1:43 p.m. Officers would recover 2 improvised weapons at the scene of the attack. No other injuries were reported. Officials have limited movement on the yard where the attack occurred to facilitate the investigation. Yates and Kennedy have been placed in restricted housing, pending an investigation by the SAC Investigative Services Unit and the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office. Rude, 39, was most recently received from Butte County on September 30th, 2024 to serve 4 years for vehicle theft with prior vehicle-related theft convictions. Yates, who is now 30, was received from San Diego County on October 9th, 2017 to serve 8 years for first-degree burglary and assault with force likely to produce great bodily injury as a second striker. On February 2nd, 2024, he was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole for first-degree murder as a second striker, an in-prison offense. Again, that's for the murder of Nathan Marcus. Okay? Kennedy, 32, was most recently received from San Bernardino County on February 6, 2020 to serve 6 years for carrying a concealed dirk or dagger as a second striker. On January 9th, 2023, he was sentenced to 4 years for assault by a prisoner with any means by a force likely great bodily injury as a second striker, also an in-prison offense. Okay, so Jake Kennedy, Tyler Yates, they murder Jonathan Rude on February 24th, 2025. Just about 2 weeks later, March 7th, 2025, within California State Prison Sacramento. California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation officials are investigating the March 7th, 2025 death of an incarcerated person at Cal State Prison Sacramento as a homicide. At 6:13 a.m., officers, during a security check, found incarcerated person Jake T. Kennedy in his cell with multiple stab wounds. Staff immediately restrained and removed Kennedy's cellmate Tyler L. Yates. Life-saving measures were performed on Kennedy and 911 services were requested. So yes, the same guy that helped Yates kill another individual just barely, not even 2 weeks ago, is now another victim of Tyler L. Yates. Kennedy was transported to the institution's triage and treatment area where he was pronounced deceased by a paramedic at 7:04 a.m. Yates remains in restricted housing pending an investigation. 3 murders, 3 times he's replaced into administrative segregation. So what we've talked about on this channel, what other channels have talked about, is you go out and you violently assault somebody, whether you put them in the hospital and they survive or whether you murder them. The prison is literally going to put you, okay, you need to go be by yourself for a while, but eventually they're going to let you back out. And in Tyler Yates' case, since his first murder, his first incident of violence, he has committed 2 more murders. That is 100% blood on the prison's hands, the state of California's entire prison system's hands. Jeff McCumber, Gavin Newsom, who is the governor, Jeff McCumber's the head of the CDCR. That is on you guys. I don't care. Yes, it's on Tyler Yates as well, but you keep putting him in situations where he is going to hurt somebody. He keeps showing you what he's going to be, what he's going to do, and he continues to do it. When do you finally say, hey, maybe we don't put this guy around anybody now? It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I consider him a serial killer. I absolutely do. I think sometimes the way, it's like when you talk about mob murders, you use like Sammy the Bull as an example, or other guys that committed a ton of murders, right? Some of these guys kill more people than some of the worst serial killers do. So they go, well, it's not the same thing. But it's like, for me, Tyler Yates, he's like a serial killer of opportunity. So the minute he gets an opportunity, he's going to kill somebody. And that's exactly what he does. And he uses them first, right? He might use you to help him do something. But the minute the opportunity arises, and if you're right there in his way and he feels like he wants to kill somebody that day, he's going to do it. Anyway, I really want to know what you guys think about this. Do you guys think this guy should be classified as a serial killer? What do you think about the responsibility at the hands of the CDCR? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, you already know what it is. Stay healthy, stay sober. Peace.